Hey, welcome to the Steve Davis Show. Special guest today is Tread Childs, announcer and also the host of the new show Tread on Sports. And Tread, thanks for coming on.
Steve, thanks for having me. Pleasure to be here.
You know, it's always neat for me to somebody to come on and at your young age and to take on something like this. And what gave you the inspiration to do this?
I've always loved sports since I was 6. You know, instead of waking up on Saturday mornings and watching cartoons, Mom would wake up and find me watching Saturday Game Day or Sports Center, just what was ever on. So I've always loved sports, had a passion there, and just watching Sports Center, watching every game that was on, I've picked up on broadcasting, and I like talking about the game. And when talking about the game, I realized that I say something, and then 30 seconds later, the announcer says it. So a lot of my friends have always said, hey, Tread, you're good at that. Why don't you try that? So I'm just giving it a shot while I can.
Well, you're born in Los Alamos.
Yes, lived there for 9 years.
9 years, and then you went up to Farmington, and Farmington's a sports town.
It is.
I mean, you think of farm, people don't understand. Baseball is huge. I mean, the Connie Mack World Series player who has been there for as long as I've been around. So
I believe they just had the 45th or 50th year anniversary of that, or of it being at Ricketts Park in Farmington.
And that's just one aspect of it. I mean, you go back to, now there's so many, and what people don't understand about Farmington, if you don't, is there's so many schools around in Bloomfield, Aztec, now they got a new, Pedro Vista, and then they got the whole Farmington school, and it's rich in sports history.
And then even going out west, you get the Shiprock girls who coaches say, you can roll the ball out, stay in the locker room, and have a chance to win a state championship. The Kirtland girls are good too. And then Gallup has a couple new schools with Maya Mira and Gallup Catholic. So there's a lot to contend with out there.
Well, with that being said, it's, the basketball is king. I mean, as far as and you said that you can throw it out there is because they have the best sixth man in the country. I mean, and when people don't realize you better go to that game early because you're not going to get into the games anytime they play.
Even if it's a Shiprock road game and they're coming to your place, you have to get there early. I remember being in high school a couple of times, and Shiprock would be coming in for a big game in district or possibly a district championship game, and at lunch at 12 o'clock there'd be a line out the door, and we couldn't get parking spots coming back from lunch because the Shiprock fans were already lining up. It's really incredible.
Well, with that enthusiasm, did you play sports while you were in high school?
In high school, I did. In high school, I was basketball and golf. I preferred basketball.
Who was the coach?
I did 2 years at Farmington and 2 years at PV, so I played under Kevin Holman, who recently passed, unfortunately, and then Brian Schock at PV. Played under both of them.
Brian Schock,
Yes.
Now he's at Alamogordo.
Yeah, did a couple years at Hobbs. I believe he won a state championship there, and yes, now at Alamogordo. And I think that's big for him. He always talked about being at a one school city, and I think Cliff, not Hobbs.
And that's an interesting. The Cliff thing is interesting because Pete Schock is his dad, and the coach before Pete was his dad.
Oh, I didn't realize it went that far.
And in fact, if you go back, and it's something for you to look up, and you can do it. But I think there's been 3 over the last, I'd say, 60 years. Is three Schocks have been the head coaches of the thing, and now they pass it on, and now he's moved on down. Gordo, I just he was at the Las Lunas tournament and sat down and got to talk to him for about 45 minutes.
Very nice. A great family. And then his Coach Schock's, Brian's wife, coaches as well. I know with the kids, she's kind of taken a back seat to coaching as much. But she was a good coach up in Aztec when I was a kid.
And I didn't realize he was in the northern part of the state, but he's learning that 6A is just a little bit more difficult than the 2A. But his team's going to be talented. He's going to have great success there once he gets his system in line.
And I mean, he demands the attention. They're going to be disciplined. They're going to be focused. And once he gets the players, and I have no faith he can do the job that he wants to do.
So you had a great high school career, great, it sounds like great coaches, and you get the kind of the best of both worlds. You got the Farmington, which has tradition, and then you got to build on, and got to graduate. I guess you're the second person to graduate, second class to graduate from Pedro Vista. Is that correct?
And I was probably the 8th class or so, possibly even 10th.
So it wasn't.
Yeah, it had been around for a while. It was still the shiny school, but it definitely wasn't new.
And with that, you decided to go to UNM.
Yeah, I've been down here in Albuquerque for about 6 years. Finished up my undergrad in 4 years with a double major in organizational communication and psychology with a minor in business, and now I'm getting my master's in public administration with an emphasis in health policy.
Wow. When I first had you for lunch, I was like, wait a second, are you sure you're going to have time to do this? And it was, you had a great answer. You got 6 months of going to school here, and it's something kind of you dreamed about doing.
And like I said, since I was 6, it's something I've kind of wanted to do and been told I wanted to do. And while I have the chance and I'm still in school, before I get a real full-time job, I have to take this opportunity.
I tell you, you got a great compliment from my mom. And my mom watches everything on ProView Network.
She's a lovely lady.
And she's very, when she says she give you a compliment, she means it. I mean, because she's very critical. She'll deal, and it was kind of funny. Your first show, I think I talked to you. It says, the only way it's kind of like scrambling an egg. You got to break the egg. I mean, you got to just go do it. And as good as you prepare and as good as you think, you have to get that confidence, and then that confidence builds with your production.
And like you said, we could practice as much as we wanted, and going back and look at it, there was a 30-second clip where I'm looking at the wrong camera, and that's something that I couldn't learn and realize how I'm kind of like, oh, can't do that until you do it.
It's just the learning experience. You know what, Tread, we're going to come back. We're going to talk more about Tread on Sports and talk more about you, and actually show some clips of your first show and kind of your thoughts of what was going through your mind while you're doing this show, and the ability to go to the Lobo interviews and talk to the guys that a lot of people don't get a chance to talk to.
I look forward to talking about it.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog!
Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened?
Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
Champion Cryotherapy is Albuquerque's leading provider of non-invasive cold therapy for weight management, pain management, beauty and wellness, and athletic recovery. Champion Cryotherapy provides a safe and natural athletic performance and recovery benefits such as faster recovery from stress of athletic performances, competitive sports, and training. Champion Cryotherapy, you could visit us, Wyoming Boulevard, just south of Paseo del Norte. That's 821 Cryo.
Gets it ahead. Here comes Sloan. Sloan jams it. Valencia. He averages 3 of them a game. He's already surpassed it. Oh, send it in, fella. Another putback jam for Rogers. Steele. This is Bernard on the Euro step. Oh, Gaither. Sends it away. Down to 1. This game is over as a 3-pointer thrown up at the buzzer. Here comes Eldorado the other way. Valencia all the way off. Oh! Send it in! Send it in, Roger. That's the one up. Up like a jam. Just being inside. Oh, what a block! That was a block by Destiny Lee. Up top, the alley-oop. Oh, man, the big fella threw it down. What a pass from Gaither. Off the backboard and put it down.
Hey, welcome back to Steve Davis Show. We have Tread here. I'm going to Tread Childs, and you got to get used to your last name. People need to know, you did have a mother and father, and they're proud of you. So you be proud of that last name. But it's go Tread on Sports. And where'd you come up with the name? Why the name? And
Pretty simple. I'm Tread, so there wasn't much debate there. And then just on sports, it's what I'm going to be talking about. We didn't want to be too specific about Tread's Lobo Hour or anything like that. Also copyright, I think there's an issue there. But I also
so you learned a little bit about copyright. You had to go in and research the thing and see.
Yep. It's a definitely a learning experience. But also
because in the beginning it was going to be like Lobo Sports, and then there was maybe a conflict with UNM that you could use the Lobo name.
And then also we didn't want to be pigeonholed where we had to talk about the Lobos. If something comes up that's relevant in the NBA or college football outside of New Mexico, we wanted to be able to talk about that too.
Well, in the other sports, like the Gladiators, the Soul, all the local things it's more of a local show, so it's kind of awesome.
There's Jackson MMA stuff that we're looking at trying to do when they have their local shows. Maybe the Balloon Fiesta when it's in town next year. So just the sports, just trying to keep it very diverse and open.
I tell you what, the Balloon Fiesta is going to is amazing. When we first started, we had a little bit of a contact with the brand, and I'm working back with it, with their fields, with rugby and things like that, and lacrosse and the soccer. That it's amazing how many people, I didn't realize, and I'm a sports guy, how many sports are played in that facility.
And the city in general has some great facilities. On the radio, I just heard about the McDermott Athletic Center that just opened out in Rio Rancho. Sounds like they've got basketball, hockey, and I think soccer too. So there's plenty.
That's something I didn't even know about. I mean, I'm usually on top of all that. So.
But it sounds like there's plenty of places for whatever sports you're into.
So back to you. I mean, you come back. We'll throw an intro of your first show, and let's watch it and critique it and see what you think. So,
see what happens.
See what happens here if we can get Josh to find it there on
Tread on Sports. 60 minutes of highlights from recent Lobo games.
You got
plus
Tread on
coaches'
Sports
comments and player reactions. If there's time, we'll touch on local high school events and even have some comments on professional sports and teams.
The 23-20 win over UTSA gave New Mexico their first bowl win in 10 years. It was a battle cry all year for the Lobos. They'd break their huddle and say Lobos' last bowl win. Now they get to say 2016. And after the victory, we got to sat down with Coach Davey and see what it meant to him. He started off talking about Richard McCorley and the game in general.
I think he's a heck of a player. He just showed me on video he did that double backflip or whatever the heck that was at the end of the game there, so I know he's a good athlete. So it wasn't our best offensive performance, but I think UTSA obviously had a lot to do with that. Jason Sanders, again, the 52-yard field goal before the half. Chris Davis fielding punts in the wind. Chris Davis recovering the onside kick. We did have an extra point blocked. The one negative, 4th and 1, we went for it, didn't make it. But we did go for it on 4th down and make it and punch the ball in the end zone. Defense, first of all, I think their quarterback is a really good athlete. Really hard to tackle, takes off and runs. They've got two good tailbacks. They hit us a little bit on a lead draw. But for the most part, our defense played solid all afternoon. And it was a well-played game. I thought the atmosphere was fantastic. Credit to UTSA for bringing all those people over here. And very educated. You know, you can tell they've been around a lot of football. You know, they responded when they needed to respond to. And our crowd, I thought our crowd, I don't know what the numbers were, but there was some energy in that stadium. There was some excitement in that stadium, and just the, you know, the emotion of people after the game and the things that they said to our coaches and to our players of appreciation resonates with me. So again, I mean, there's not much to talk about. We all know what kind of season it was. To play the first bowl game of the year on ESPN, get a win like this, and finish up with 9 wins is a credit to these guys, man. It's always and always has been about players, and I'm very proud of these guys. So, Rick?
After talking about his team, Coach was asked about what he thought the Roadrunners did to slow down the nation's #1 rushing attack.
Well, Tread, very impressive.
Thank you.
I mean, that was, you know, for the first time. I mean, I know you got a great dad, Dana. You know, he's got that, you know, the background of helping you put this thing together, but well thought out. I mean, you know, and anytime you can get guys like Bob Davies and Craig Neal and Ray Birmingham's on, I mean, you're going to have an audience, and how you portray that is going to make your legacy.
And it's something that I was saying, something that got me into this, because I'll watch ESPN and see the post-game conferences and see what the coaches are being asked, and I want to ask a question. And I saw something in the game, and it's really cool being able to be in the situation where after the game, get to the post-game press conference and ask the coach what I actually want to ask him.
Okay, now I'm going to tell you, how do you get your name to get where you can get that, where the coach knows that? I mean, they have their favorites. I mean, every interview, they make sure that they get, if it's, you know, the Sports Center, it's sure it's the New York press and it's the Eastern press, and they know the guys. And here you're the first time on the block. How do you assert yourself?
It's definitely, you can definitely see that there's a hierarchy, and
right.
it took me about 2 minutes to figure it out. But you know, Coach will, like we saw there, he'll come up and give his general 2-minute opening statement, what he thought of the game, and then he'll look at a reporter. And for Coach Neal, he'll always look at Jeff Grammer from the Albuquerque Journal. Usually it's the Journal guys that go first, and then the TV guys get their chance. But you just have to wait for the opportunity.
So now ProView Networks is moving up.
And yeah, we're moving up.
We're at the bottom of the line.
There's nowhere to go but up from here. But you just have to wait and ask a question, and as long as you ask a good question, and they'll come back to you.
Well, how does it feel to be with ProView Networks? I mean, again, you're going to uncharted territories for what ProView Networks done. I'm just telling you, it's kind of like.
And for what I've done.
Right, and so it's kind of rewarding. People do know who ProView Networks are. I mean, so in other words, but it's also, that's another little legacy for yourself to step into the more of the college world. We're more of a we're known as a college, more of a high school type coverage, and we cover probably 80% of our stuff is high school, but we still do the Soul and we do the Gladiators, and we're stepping out and going to do more of the New Mexico games and things like that. So it's more of a local touch with all the sports that are involved.
I mean, it's an honor to be with ProView. Appreciate the opportunity, and it brings about a sense of legitimacy and credibility to what I'm doing. It gives me more confidence, and I enjoy it. It's great.
Well, Trevor, we're gonna come back, and one thing I told you when you do your shows, it's you run out of time, and I think you learned that on your first one. How am I going to fill 30 minutes? How am I going to fill an hour? And we're going to come back and talk more about Tread.
All right, look forward.
Before you go viral, make an appointment with Feedy Family Dentistry, now with 2 locations to serve you in Albuquerque and Rio Rancho.
Dr. George Stribble, the ultimate sports chiropractor, is a proud sponsor of ProView Sports. For 34 years, he has been the chiropractor for sports injuries, soft tissue, muscle fatigue, muscle sprains, neck and back injuries. Dr. Stribling specializes in a kinesiotaping technique that is designed to facilitate the body's natural healing process while providing support and stability to muscles and joints without restricting the body's range of motion. Sports injuries are Dr. Stribling's specialty.
Gecko's Bar and Tapas, a proud supporter of ProView Networks. It's been a fan favorite spot for food lovers and sports fans. With not one, but two great locations, including outdoor patio, an atmosphere you won't want to miss. Gecko's, off Academy and in Nob Hill.
Folks, there's no other way but to be all in. Either he's Lord of all or he is not Lord at all. And you can experience the real and authentic, true life change that only God can provide to humanity. See, when we truly encounter Jesus and purpose to know him and follow his teachings, hashtag life change will occur.
We want to fill New Mexico's strength conditioning knowledge gap.
The Athletes Playground was the most overall intense sports-specific training that we had seen.
We specialize in youth performance training. Everything from acceleration, deceleration, change of direction, speed, agility, quickness, strength, and power. All the fundamentals that'll actually make a great athlete.
The Athletes Playground had more qualified trainers than where we had gone previously.
We use our summer camps mainly as like our off-season training, educating them on why the benefits of what they're doing. We develop tomorrow's superstars today.
Hey, welcome back to Steve Davis Show. We have Tread Childs here, the new show, Tread on Sports, and I'm excited. You know, it gives a new, like I said, you bring in those celebrity people that are in the sports world, but also, and I'm excited for you, for your young age, to have the courage to step in there. A lot of people are intimidated.
It definitely was scary, you know, the first time you're in the press conference room and you're around people that you see on TV, whether it's, you know, JP Marietta, Van Tate, but then also, you know, Bob Davey and Craig Neal. It's, it takes a lot, but if you just think about...
And then you have Paul Krebs kind of sitting in the background.
He lurks.
Yeah,
he lurks.
Yeah, right.
But, you know, like you said, confidence, you just have to have the courage to step up, ask the question, and know that if you want to ask the question, someone else wants to hear the answer as well.
Well, kind of tell us what you want to get accomplished with your show. Okay, I mean, let's just go into detail. What, you know, it's going to be a weekly show starting. We had your trailer this week came out, and next week, is it next week we're going to start a new show?
Yeah, pilot came out next week. We'll start filming. It'll be a 60-minute show once a week. We'll recap the Lobo games that had happened in the past week, and then maybe look forward ahead a little bit. It'll be minute and a half of the highlights. It won't always be the big dunk or the look at Elijah Brown score 22 points. I like to take a different look at it, show what made the play happen, maybe show how this motion was ran 3 times and on the 4th time it led to a different basket than we'd seen it the first 3 times. But then also I like doing the press game conferences and showing what the coaches had to say and breaking down the X's and O's a little further with the coach.
With that being said, I mean, here's one that just used Lobo men's basketball. I have been following the women's bill because we only did 14 games last week and didn't have a lot of time to spend with. I just got to watch the San Diego State this last Sunday because it was on a Sunday, and if it would have been on a Saturday, I would have been able to watch it. But it is the seasons. I mean, if you look at Bob Davies, you know how he loses to Mexico State, he loses this. Everybody's hey, the Lobos are not there, and then all of a sudden, if you listen, you listen to the fine words that he said. You know what? We're going to be there at the end, and got the confidence, and it's kind of like Rodgers saying, hey, we're going to run it. You know, they're down. They've lost. They're 4-6 at one time, and he said they're going to run the table, and they went and did it. So I mean, the storylines is what is learning the storylines that may become a big story at the end of the year.
And it was really cool being around the Lobo team this year with those storylines and them talking about the success that the program has had overall and transitioning into that. And even going back and them talking about how a big point that they were looking back on was the Utah State game last year. And seeing that theme into this year and having the Utah State game putting him to this benchmark and then wanting to come back this year and surpass that. But yeah, the themes that go within a season and then within a coach.
Or the big win at Boise State last year. I mean, it's like small, pieces to the puzzle, I would say, is that, and then learning just because you have success and then have the failure, of sustaining that week after week after week is what becomes a good team.
And especially if going back to men's basketball, they had the 30-point blowout loss to Arizona and come back a week later and they start 2-0 in Mountain Conference. That could have been a turning point in the season where everything just went downhill, but they were able to rebound and now they're actually on the upswing.
And I said something on the sports desk just last, 2 weeks ago. People were down on, Craig Neal in Arizona and made a lot of Arizona fans happy though to do that. But you can always look up the other positive side of it. But it looked like that the program was in distress, and my point is that the Western Athletic, Mountain West Conference. I played the Western Athletic Conference, but Mountain West Conference. The teams are not that strong, and it looked like. And they even said it on TV that I'm not saying anything that people don't. Probably one team out of this is going to go to the NCAA tournament. Well, I'm looking at that, and I'm looking at the Lobos. They still have the best 2 players on the team, and what nobody's giving Neal credit for is that he's 7-0 at home. Okay, and if you look at all the great coaches, they always win at home, and he's doing that. So, people that have any second guess of Craig Neal, he's doing what he hasn't lost at home.
And he's definitely got a great home field advantage helping him with that. But like we saw last week going into San Diego State, it's a tough place to play. And if you can steal a couple road wins here or there, but as long as you protect your house, they're going to be in a good position.
Well, and when I was playing, I just remember Norm Ellenberg and John Wisdom. They taught it that their goal was to win all the home games and split on the road. And if you can really do that, you're going to be in the top contention every year of the Mountain West Conference.
And especially with it coming down to March, it is if you can just get a good seed going into the conference tournament, that can be more important than spending a lot of energy in conference play to not get much if you're only going to get one team out of it.
Well, and if things do go bad in the deal, you do have that tournament, and then when they take the tournament team out of there, so you actually have 2 seasons right now. You can win the Mountain West Conference and still not make it to the NCAA tournament.
Which is unfortunate because a couple of years ago, the conference was in a great place where New Mexico had the 3 championships in a row, whether regular season or tournament, and San Diego State was still getting in. UNLV was on the bubble.
Well, actually, I think one year we had 5 teams get in.
Was it 5? And then with like Wyoming and Boise snuck in, I believe, too.
Yeah, we had like 4 or 5 teams in them. And now the conference is down to 1. And if you look at the preseason on all the teams being played, that they've haven't been very well against other conferences.
And then even the teams that we always expect to be good, San Diego State, UNLV, they underperformed a little bit in non-conference. Which has brought down the prestige of the conference as a whole.
Well, see, I just been testing you. I just been throwing these stuff out. I just wanted to see if you knew anything about sports, and you're coming back really quick, and that just shows that you're a student of the sports, and you're going to be very successful with it. I'm just like I said, you're looking at 40 years of Lobo basketball with me, so I go back, and it's great to see somebody young to already know all that knowledge.
Thank you, and it's great talking with someone that has the experience, especially firsthand too.
Well, Trad, ProView Networks, welcome to the deal, and we're excited for your weekly show and Trad on Sports, and it's going to be successful because you're going to make it successful.
I look forward to doing great things.
Well, Trad, thanks for coming on the Steve Davis Show.
I appreciate it.